Have you ever tried to do different things at the same time? These kinds of examples can be found everywhere, like using smartphones when dining, chatting when driving, and or using several electronic devices. We call this series of activities multitasking. It's quite obvious that multitasking is one of our daily routines.
According to Susan Canons and Glenn Lyons from the University of West England, the term multitasking is defined as simultaneous conduct of two or more activities during a given time period. To be more specific, based on the time interval of behavior, multitasking can be categorized as concurrent multitasking and sequential multitasking. Concurrent multitasking is conducted at second to minute intervals, while sequential multitasking remains within a comparatively long period, say hours. In this video, we will specify our study on concurrent multitasking. There is a myth that women are better than men at multitasking. It can be seen very often that females work hard in kitchen and take care of a child or even children at the same time. Do the female really have better performance in multitasking? Some scientific evidence have been found to clarify the relationship between the ability of multitasking and gender. For instance, Keith Laws, a psychologist from the University of Hertfordshire, in 2010 claimed that women perform better than men in multitasking. However, in the research conducted by Timo Mettler, a psychologist from Stockholm University, in 2012, showed opposite opinion to Keith that men are better multitaskers.
So, do women really outperform in multitasking, or is it only a rumor?
In order to investigate the relationship between gender and the ability to multitask, 10 males and 10 females who aged from 20 to 23 years old were invited to play an online multitasking game at a website named multitasking.com to test their ability. The game includes 4 stages. The participants were required to handle a single game in the first 15 seconds. From 15 to 40 seconds, the second game appeared. They needed to manage 2 games at the same time. The third one appeared when the clock turned to 40 seconds, and so on and so forth. They reached the final stage after 80 seconds. The longer they could handle the game, the higher score they could get. All participants had 3 trials. The average seconds used was calculated after the game in order to raise the performance in multitasking. Meanwhile, we distribute questionnaires to find out the perception about multitasking. After calculating the average use time of all participants, it was observed that the majority results of both male and female participants fall into the range of 40 to 50 seconds. The average score of male and female players was 47.3 and 48.4 seconds respectively. Interestingly, the variation of the average time between genders is very small. Besides, it is worth noticing that one of the female participants recorded the highest average score, an average of 76 seconds, indicating she was able to perform very well when managing 3 games simultaneously. Another interesting observation is that most of the participants were able to play the first 2 consecutive games smoothly. However, they failed to manage the third game successfully. Moreover, 12 participants claimed that they only sometimes perform multitasking. We also witnessed that 60% of the participants thought that men and women had an equal ability to multitask. Let's hear what they say.
How do you think genders affect the performance of multitasking?
I think women do better because it seems like men cannot focus on multiple things based on my experience.
Equal. It depends on what you are good at, but not gender, I believe.
Male. Equal.
This suggests that gender may not be a significant factor in ability to multitask. Most of them believed multitask would lead to low efficiency problems, focusing problems, decreased quality of the work, and chances of making mistakes.
According to neuroscientist Dr. Etienne Kochlin's research, the human brain has two separate parts, which can easily control two individual tasks simultaneously. The study shows that the left frontal lobe manages the first task, while the right one manipulates the second task respectively. When reaching the third game, the mind will become overloaded, and the performance will turn weaker. Therefore, too many tasks at the same time bring up the risk of multitasking, like difficulty to focus, making mistakes, and even causing low efficiency. As mentioned before, multitasking becomes one of the habits of human beings. This contrasts with the results in the questionnaire. It may be due to the possibility that people do not truly understand the definition of multitasking. People may not realize that we are actually performing multitasking most of the time.
In our experiment, it was found that gender is not the only convincing factor which influence multitasking ability. Obviously, there are other factors considered important to the ability. It is common sense that young people have better performance at multitasking because it is a cognitive process, while old people may suffer from decreasing brain activity.
Experience is also an important factor. The participants successfully challenged the third task or higher score, claiming that they always perform multitasking, like playing video games while chatting to other people. It is the fact that multitasking may bring several disadvantages which were suggested by the interviewees in the questionnaire. A typical example is inputting texts to our smartphones while chatting with others verbally. We will sometimes type the words we are speaking into our message. Multitasking indeed brings convenience to us, but should not leave behind the adverse effect. The best way is to minimize multitasking when high concentration is needed on other work.
Being in a fast-paced city, we need multitasking to improve efficiency, but we should be aware of the drawbacks when performing multitasking or limit ourselves to do two things simultaneously.
Meanwhile, gender does not really affect people to multitask. There may be some undiscovered factors that affect people's ability. Additional research leads to better explanations.